Hello you guys. So today I'm just going to work on a couple of thrifted pickups that have been just laying around and needing a makeover. So this little frame, I picked it up at the Goodwill bins. I really like the saying on it. I didn't realize it was glued in there, so I'm trying here to pop it out without actually breaking the glass. So once I get my glass out, I'm going to go ahead and give it a coat of gold with some rub and buff. I have been on a rub and buff kick lately. I guess I just like the ease of it, and who doesn't like a quick and easy thrift flip from the thrift store that you don't have to take too much time on, yet looks good. That's been me lately. So I go ahead and do this rub and buff all the way around the frame. Then I decided that I didn't like the silver chain that it was hanging from. So I go ahead and get some wire cutters and just open up the little clip on top and remove the silver chain. And just to make it more my style, I'm going to go ahead and add a piece of lace on top to be the hanger. Then I'm just going to go ahead and create a lace bow with some lace scraps that I had laying around just to give it a more, I guess, shabby chic look. So to create my bow here, I'm just going to go ahead and layer some laces right on top of each other, just crisscrossing them in the front like so. And I just picked out 3 different sizes of laces. This one here has the little scalloped edge, which I love. It also has some gold on it, so it can kind of match the frame. And lastly, I'm going to use a much thinner lace to create the top layer of the bow. Then I'll go ahead and pinch it in the center and tie it off with a smaller piece of lace right in the center. So to not cover up any of the lettering, I'm going to go ahead and glue it to the top left of my frame and add a little pearl to the center of my bow. And that is it for this one, guys. What do you guys think? Next up is this cute little table I picked up from the Goodwill bins. I believe it was like to a dollhouse or something for kids' toys. But I'm going to just turn it into a little riser for home decor. So I'm going to go ahead and go in with the color Sage from Waverly Chalk Paint. Give this little table 2 coats of paint. Then I just go ahead and go over this with a sanding block 220 just to smooth it out, and also do a little bit of distressing. So for the top, I wanted to distress my edges a little bit more, so I get my wet rag and just wet distress it and then dry it out so I can go ahead and stamp the top. So I'm going to go ahead and add a grain stripe to the top using my IOD stamps, Mercantile I believe it is. And that is it for this one. This is super cute to put like a candle on it. I just set one of my ceramic birds on it for now, but I really love it. This will probably end up going to my booth just so I can give some height to some things. Next up are these very plain little bookends I picked up at Goodwill a while back. I'm just going to go ahead and spruce them up a bit. I'm going to start off by giving them 2 coats of Waverly chalk paint in the color Sage. And once again, once my 2 coats of paint are dry, I'm going to go in with my sanding block just to distress my edges just a little bit. Then using this stamp that I think I picked up at the Goodwill bins, I'm going to go ahead and stamp one side of my bookends. Then I'm going to go ahead and add these little birds to my bookends. First, I'm going to give them a coat of gold using some rub and buff again. These were just left from a separate project that I had. Then I'm going to add a little bit of hot glue, which my hot glue wasn't holding on too well this day. I don't know if this got mixed with my other glue that wasn't the Gorilla Glue. They were just coming off very easy, so I do end up putting some Tite Bond underneath both molds just to make sure that they are securely on there. I go ahead and seal these up, and that is it for this one. Next up is this little outdated Rooster nightlight. I go ahead and pull the little plastic off that covers the electrical cords, and I'm going to go ahead and give it a coat of black paint in the color ink from Waverly chalk paint, and I'm going to be doing 2 coats. Then using some rub and buff once again, I'm going to go ahead and highlight all the high points of my Rooster here, and that is going to bring out all that detail and add some dimension. Then I do take this outside and give this a coat of clear spray paint, and that is it for this one. Super quick and easy. So I've had this wall pocket for so long. I'm finally getting around to it. I'm going to go in with the color Sage as well. I'm going to go ahead and do 2 coats. I'm going to go ahead and add some foam to create a little succulent floral arrangement. So I do start out by cutting down my foam, and I'm going to go ahead and add some hot glue and glue them down to the inside of my wall pocket. And to cover my foam here, I'm going to go ahead and use this moss like grassy stuff. I think it comes from Amazon, but I also got this at the bins. But it's really nice. It doesn't make a mess or anything. And before I add my succulents, I'm going to go ahead and add some twine to the back just to make it easier to hang when I do take it to the booth versus trying to measure out those holes in the back. So I do end up putting this hanger on it. Then I'll go ahead and start arranging my succulents in there. And I'm assuming these are from Amazon as well. I pick up mostly everything at the bin, especially greenery, when it's just so much cheaper versus getting it from, Hobby Lobby and stuff. Um, as long as it's clean and it's not all full of dust, I do purchase them at the Goodwill bins. And then I decide that the outside is a little too plain for my style, so I'm going to go in with these stamps that I got from the Reverie IOD stamp set, and I just stamp these little leaves like on the outside right here on the edge of my wall pocket. So I do end up adding them or stamping them a little too far apart, but in the end that's not going to matter because I do want to add something like coming out of the wall pocket just to give it a little bit more interest, so that's not going to show. So right here I'm going to add a little bit of this moss just hanging right out of my wall pocket just to give the illusion that it's growing out of my pocket here. And I just want to mention, before I did add this moss, I did seal it up with some hemp oil because that is what I have up here in my craft room. And that is it for this one. I think I really like how this one came out. It's probably my favorite out of this video. So let me know what you think. So I have a little stash of molds that are left over from previous projects or when I pour too much resin. So I want to go ahead and create something with those just to get them out of my stash. So I am using Amazing Cast and Resin, basically mixing part A and part B in equal parts, mixing it up and then pouring it into my mold, and it is all set and ready to go in about 10 minutes. And I did decide to make a little bit more than what was in my stash because I do want to create some magnets out of these just to go on the fridge, and I do plan on taking some to my booth, so I want to have plenty. So I want to keep these pretty simple. I do end up doing 2 coats of Rub and Buff front and back. Then I picked up these magnets from the Dollar Tree. I had about 10 of them, so I just glue them on the back of my molds here, and that is it for this one. And I just want to mention that I did add a transfer to the little frame one, but I put a transfer that I have never worked with, and I clearly didn't read the instructions. I ended up putting it on wrong, and it came out a little bit wrinkled, but in the end, I still like it. It still works. So that is why one of them will have some flowers. And I do want to mention that I did purchase these transfers from my friend over on Whatnot DIY page. She sells like little craft bundles and her own crafts, which she crafts very beautiful. So if you want to give her a follow over there, that is where I picked up these transfers. And that is it for today's video, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and gave you a little bit of motivation to work on those projects that you have just laying around. If you like what you see, please subscribe and follow for more. Share this out with a friend, and we'll see you on the next one. Bye.